I legitimately do not understand the rainbow police in Britain. Why is it that the more progressive a police force seems to be, the more authoritarian they get when they're given an ounce of power? It seems very bizarre, isn't it? They're cracking down on their own citizens like they're policing a prison. And everyone is a criminal, and they're like, oh, let me see if you have some contraband in your shopping bag. Let me pat you down to see if you have a shank. Oh, a potato peeler. Oh, you look dangerous. You look like the type of person that doesn't pay the BBC license. You know, that is the vibe that I am getting as a non-British citizen looking on British Twitter. It's really interesting. But what's even more bizarre is the way they interpret social distancing, because as I'm noticing, they're not getting clear instructions. Like they get like the overwhelming vibe. It's like you need to keep people social distancing and make sure people don't leave their houses for things that aren't essential. And the way they apply it is like, all right, let's police Easter eggs. Let's make sure that stores don't sell Easter eggs. Or they say things like, if you're in a supermarket, like this is the most bizarre thing. I don't think it exists anywhere else in Europe. If you're in a supermarket and you are in a non-essential area of the supermarket purchasing non-essential things, they can fine you. And I'm like, motherfucker, if the person is already out of the house to purchase the essentials like bread and, you know, food or whatever, and then they go to the non-essential area to purchase a Monopoly board, what is the harm in that if they still social distance? Like, what is the purpose of harassing that citizen? You don't even know if for him is essential or not. Maybe he's got like 4 kids at home. Do you know how hyperactive kids are? And you're supposed to keep those kids indoors for more than 2 months. Maybe the Monopoly board is what's essential for him to keep those kids sane and calm down so that he can still work for a living and pay taxes so that it goes to the police. Right? But no, apparently, like if you purchase alcohol, well, that's not essential. Says who? Like, I mean, they would have fined Angela Merkel if she was in Britain. Apparently, when Angela Merkel was told to self-isolate, the first thing she bought was toilet paper, some food, and some alcohol. So, you know, it's just like bizarre. What are these people thinking? Like, do they not have families? I'm literally curious if the family members of a British cop would get persecuted by another officer if there wouldn't be some nepotism going on. It's like, oh yes, but you know, my son works at such and such precinct, and it's like, oh sorry madam, I didn't know. Like, I'm willing to bet that is the case. I just have like this weird feeling that they wouldn't persecute the family of other police officers the same they persecute other people. But anyway, right, you know, like this is a conversation for another time. I want to talk about my town for now. Like, again, some really good detective police work. Like, this is just, mwah, 10 out of 10. So, in my town, if you want to go out, as I mentioned before, you have to pay papers, please. Like, you have to stay indoors, but under certain circumstances, you are allowed to leave the house. So if you want to do shopping, if you want to jog around your house and stretch your legs, if you want to walk the dog, if you want to take care of an elderly person, like, there are a couple of reasons that the government does allow you, through its gracefulness, to leave the house. But if you want to do that, you have to complete a handwritten paper. Or you can go on the government's website, and there is already a completed paper where you just complete the dotted lines. And you have to tell your name, your address, the date, the signature, and the reason for leaving the house. So when a police officer sees you on the street, they can stop you and they can ask for your papers, your ID, and the paper that you completed. Now, a lot of people, the way they complete it is that they go on the government website, they print out that form, they write it down, and then they put the date and signature. But apparently the police now, in some cases, I have seen this both in the news and on social media, they ask you for the hour that you're leaving the house. So you have to say, right, I'm going to go to the supermarket and I'm leaving at 4 p.m. and I'm going to be back at 5 p.m. But that is not written on the official website of the government. So they can still give you a fine for that. In fact, there are precincts, again, like this is in the news, where a cop said that there are precincts that the cops are having a competition who gives out the most fines. Like, you people are absolutely insane if you do not stop this. Because what's going to happen, I'm telling you this as a person who finished law school, you're going to have people contesting these fines. Because number one, they are incredibly high. Like for a person that makes, like an elderly person that makes $100 a month, fining them $1,000 is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That person is going to contest your fine. Like they're going to say, no, I'm not paying this. I'm going to sue the cop. So what's going to happen is that a lot of city halls are going to take all of these fines into account for their budget next month. Sorry, or next year, whenever the money comes in. And they're going to realize that they're not going to get a big chunk of that cash, because most of these fines that get contested, they are going to win. The people contesting these fines are going to win the appeal. They are going to not have to pay it, and the city hall is going to end up without money. Like, if you do not stop this madness, like, I understand finding a person that is obviously breaking the law. Is obviously like going around in a park and, doing, gathering with 10 or 20 people to make some barbecue. Like, I understand. But if it's a person that actually has the paper, actually went out of his house, and the only thing is that he didn't complete the paper properly, like he didn't have the correct information or whatnot, like he misspelled or doesn't have the hour or whatever, give that person a warning. Do not give them a fine, because he is going to most likely win when he contests the fine. But anyway, right, like that's just my beef. The second thing, I'm going to tell you of two cases that are going to make you cringe. So the first case that I have heard about is an elderly person which has some mental disabilities. The press didn't mention which. And he went out of his house. Like, the guy doesn't have TV, doesn't have internet. He makes less than $100 per month. He's an elderly person. That's his pension, right? He goes out of his house. The police finds him, asks him about his papers. He doesn't have them. So they give him a fine. Guy goes home. The next day, he goes out of his house to buy bread. He's got the mask. He's got the gloves. He's got the paper. Police finds him. He didn't complete the paper properly. Police finds him again. So $2,000 for a guy that makes $90 a month. I understand that the police are not psychologist experts, but when you realize that the person is not entirely up there, because I'm pretty sure, like, you can understand by talking with the guy, when you see that he's an elderly person that is obviously not the most financial stable being, can you not leave him with a warning? Like, do you need to be these levels of assholes? Like, I'm legitimately curious, because now it's in the news. Now it's going to look bad on the entire police in that area. This quarantine is going to be over, but the respect of the people is going to remain at an all-time low if you keep doing this shit. Then you have another very interesting case, really good detective work. I'm really glad that Batman is working at the police precinct in Ayud. Apparently, a husband and a wife each got $500 a fine because they left their house without completing their papers properly. So, again, the problem for one of them was that they didn't set the hour from which they left their house. But if you go on the website, the governmental website, the hour isn't even there. So again, they can actually sue, and they're probably going to win. But secondly, they looked into the shopping bags of the people, and they realized that they had a pack of sticks which they could have bought from a neighborhood store and didn't have to travel all the way to where they said they will travel. And apparently, after they left their house, they were being surveilled by the police, because the officer said, we saw them in different places of the town and blah, blah, blah. Well, were they out for shopping or not? If they were out for shopping, just shut the fuck up. Unless they were meeting with friends to start the barbecue somewhere and spread the disease, why is this a problem? Again, maybe they did really great police work. They used the sticks in order to deduce that, you could have purchased that from there. What if the guy didn't know that they could have purchased those sticks from there? This is like insane. Again, this shit will pass. The respect of the public will remain. I'm legitimately also curious, like, are there no other crimes being committed now? Because every time I open the news or I go on social media, it's like, this guy went to buy a cup of coffee. He got fined. This person didn't complete his papers properly. They got fined. This elderly individual, which is a little bit demented, didn't know that he needs to have papers. He got fined. Not to mention, like, even if a lot of these fines aren't going to be winning in a lawsuit, you're not going to get your money from a lot of these people. Like, if it's an elderly person making $90 a month, like that is his income. How are you going to take $2,000 away from him? How? Like, legitimately, it's impossible unless you make him sell a kidney or something. And even then, I don't think a kidney is worth that much. You know, it's really interesting. I don't know what the authorities are thinking, but I'm starting to believe that all of these campaigns that are like, oh, you know, officers, police officers, oh, you're so brave for going out and doing your job during this time of month. Oh, congratulations, you're heroes, national heroes. Yeah, I think some of it goes to their heads, and they legitimately think they are like gods about mortal. Like, be glad you have a job to begin with. There's other people that don't. They're desperate. You know, maybe, usually I say maybe I'm in the wrong here, but I don't think I'm in the wrong here. I think I am absolutely in the right here. Have some more compassion when you police your own citizens. Have some understanding. Now, I know that if you're the officer and in one day you see 20 people that don't understand the regulations and you're getting frustrated or whatever, the 21st person that you meet probably is an old guy without TV and internet and doesn't know about the 20 other. It's not like they're connected and they're conspiring against you, you twats. Now, I want to make sure people understand I don't become the Romanian version of the Young Turks. I do not think that all cops are bad. And, you know, in this time, especially now, the cops that are actually decent human beings are like beacons of light in the darkness. For example, this old lady was starving, and she calls the Romanian equivalent of 911 to say that she's starving. So 4 police officers who were on patrol went out and purchased her goods for Easter, which caused her to cry out of happiness. And then there are cops in the UK which went door to door to give Easter eggs to people. And one of them even got bitten by what appears to be a psychopath. So yes, there are a lot of cops that are definitely trying to have a positive image, and they understand that the citizens that they police are the same citizens that pay their wages. But the problem is that the ones that are doing the bad things, the ones that are abusing their power, the ones that go over the top, they cast a negative image because it's more sensationalism to talk about the bad cops than it is to talk about the good. But furthermore, what it also does is that I am now afraid to leave my house. I still have to leave the house. I still have to purchase things. I still have to go to the supermarket. I have a cat. I need to buy her food. I still have to go and take out the trash. But every time I leave my house, I am afraid because I generally do not know, like, oh, did I manage to complete the papers properly? Am I going to get a $1,000 fine? How am I going to pay for that? I even try ordering things out. Like, I asked for a delivery to come to my house with the cat food so I don't have to walk all the way to the supermarket. But you know what? Like, the delivery guy refused to go upstairs, so I had to go downstairs. And I wonder, it's like, what if there's a police officer there? What if they're going to ask for my papers? Is everything going to be in order? I mean, this is clearly not okay. It is not normal for law-abiding citizens that even follow the quarantine to the letter and only leave the house under the points that the government allows me to leave the house. I shouldn't be afraid when I see a police officer on the street. Fix this issue.